effort. And if you ask him, he will tell you that it didn't come overnight. It takes long hours of learning, long hours of reading, of sitting in the company of scholars to be able to achieve what he has been able to achieve. And that's what it takes. It takes hard work. Sometimes we get things too easy. That this program, you can come to it, for those who are local, how much have you contributed, No, it's been open to you, mashallah, it's been here. So you take it and you accept things. It's when you begin to have to put something in, then you realize how important it is to you. And sometimes in our communities, we can have people around us who are valuable people who can help us. It could be scholars, it could be our parents, it could be our elders, it could be our friends, and they have things which they can really guide us in a particular way. But very often, you know what? We take them for granted. We say that we're not bothered about them. We are the YouTube generation, so we'll turn our focus to someone else or something else, which might be really good. But when it is that the day that you lose that thing or that person or that, whatever it is that you had, then you realize that, hold on, there was something there which I never really took advantage of. It's like a bookshelf. Sometimes you go to libraries and you see books and so on, or sometimes you might have your personal one, and you always ignore. You come in, you come out, you don't develop that habit of reading, and there are things there, and you say, yeah, it's a good book, it's fine. You've been recommended to, yeah, it's fine. The Quran is there, yeah, it's okay. It's with me, inshallah, one day. It's in my bookshelf, it's mine. So I'll get to it. And perhaps you never get to it. And this is the thing. It's important to be able to do things, emphasize growth over speed. So it will take time. It will take time to grow, inshallah. The fourth point is that, and that's a mistake, is that value the process over the end result. You see, intelligent people enjoy the learning process and don't mind when it comes beyond an expected time and frame. So you want to study a particular thing. You've set aside a particular time period to get it done. But it's not when you, let's say for instance, you wanted to memorize, let's say, a surah of the Quran. That's the objective, okay? But it's not the end result that you should be most concerned about. It's the process that you are going through to be able to achieve that. Enjoy that process. Okay? Enjoy the way, because that process is a process that you would want to utilize to be able to do other things. So you've come to this program and you're looking at it and you're thinking about all of the different things that you can learn. But it could be there are things which are taking place around the program which are far more valuable to you than the program itself. It could be that I'm speaking about here, but what is going through your mind is more important. Or I might say all the words that I have to say, but brother X or brother sister Y makes a comment, and that comment has a far more important effect in you than everything else which I say. So always look around you. An important part of what we have here is not just about the sessions, about listening. It's also about the social environment that you have. That you have a group of people who are like-minded. And one of the brothers was telling me yesterday that he was amazed at the level of discourse and discussion that was taking place yesterday. Not just with the speakers, but more so with all our participants who are here. That all of us were engaged in a level of discussion and discourse which was quite high, which we didn't realize and imagine that we could have such a group of young people who can do something like that. And this is quite amazing. So think about some of the other things which are taking place as well, inshallah. So the fourth thing is to compete with yourself. Oh, the fifth thing, sorry. Yeah. So compete with yourself. Be passionate about change and self-development. Very often, I'll tell you how it works and why people don't become who they want to become. What they do is that, so you enroll in a particular course. Okay, you wanna become a mechanic or whatever it is, and you enroll in that course. All right? So you know that certificates are going to be awarded. You have certificates of those who pass and those who excel and those who, can go further and further on in that particular field. So what happens? What happens to a lot of people is that what they do is that they look around the class. Anybody knows anything about mechanics here? Okay, and a couple people raise their hand. And everybody else doesn't. So what do? You sit next to the guy who doesn't know anything at all. All right? Now you know one or two. You raise your hand and say, I know one or two things about it. So you sit to the guy who does not know anything about mechanics. So the course starts. And the only people that you're interacting with are those who don't know anything. Or those who do anything and looking up at you. So you become the one who is intelligent. You are the intelligent one trying to feed and trying to help all of those who don't know anything. All right? So in a sense, you're growing, you're learning, you're interacting, but you are in a comfort zone. You're in a comfort zone because those around you are no wiser. You might be saying something, it might be totally wrong. They are no wiser. They're just going to be saying, yes, man, that's correct. Oh, that is it, Wow, look how good you are. But for you to really test yourself and reach that state of vulnerability that I mentioned about, is for you to say, well, look at the room and say, which guy knows the most? And sometimes they can be the most obnoxious and the most arrogant people, isn't it? In the class. Yeah? Well, that's, they could be people who are not very friendly, or they could be people who are very intellectual, or what have you. And it may take a lot to be able to go to them. But it may be that what you want to be able to do as well is to be able to sit with them and be able to derive and learn from them. And they are going to raise the bar of performance. You might be thinking about something at a particular level, but they're going to say, hold on, we're thinking about something else. You're thinking about, well, look, I'll research and write this essay on this particular book which I have in front of me. That's enough resources. And they say, no, I'm going to the library. I think there are 10 different journals that I know of that covers the topic well. And you're thinking to yourself, 10 different journals for one little essay which is meant to be written? So it begins to push you now. So that's when the external influence comes in. But for the internal influence, it's also about you being able to compete with yourself. You need to be able to set little stations for yourself, so little goals, mini goals for you to be able to achieve in developing a growth mindset. And the next thing is that always learn from failure and from the past. And this is something, we have a concept in Islam known as the concept of ihtisab, of muhasaba, the concept of being self-critical about ourselves, of being able to examine ourselves and see what it is that we have done wrong and to be able to correct ourselves. We know the hadith of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who tells us that if 2 days, if 2 days of a believer is equal in his accomplishment, he's a failure. And the reason for that is because he has done little to improve himself. So think about that, inshallah. The next one is that to seek feedback and see it as a gift. Very often what we do is that if we do something and we want to get feedback, who do you think we turn to? Who is the obvious one you think we would want to turn to? You want to get feedback. You've just given a talk for the first time or whatever it is. Who would you turn to for feedback? We look at the audience. We look at the one person in front of us who has been smiling, who has been nodding away, who comes up to us and said, sister, brother, mashallah, you've done such a wonderful talk. Thank you very much, and so on. And then we're very, very happy. And that is good. That's great. That helps build our self-confidence. That's important. But what is far more important is for us also to search out for somebody who might be neutral, or somebody who might have a negative thought, or the guy in the back who asks that difficult question. And then to go to him and say, what do you think about what I've said? He may have disagreed, but he might be somebody that you might be able to learn something from. You know, so whenever you do something, and this is one of the things that we often do whenever we give presentations in my field, is that we go through a process where people begin to analyze what they've done. So the first thing that we do, we ask somebody, okay, you've just done this presentation. Well, what do you think that went well with this presentation? And so they're able to tell us what went well. And then so they give, and then we ask them, we're not asking anybody else, we ask them, what do you think, you know, could have been done better? We don't say what went wrong. Because if I ask you, that speech that you gave last night, how was it? I don't think I stuck to my time, you know. I think the words there were some things that I was meant to say, I didn't say. And I'm not sure if the audience was listening to me. So in a reflex manner, the first thing that people often say when you ask them, and I'm sure if I do it now, the actual experiment, you would have seen it, where the first thing you think about is all of the negative things which you may have done, which you perceive that you may have done. You may not have done it at all. But that's what you're thinking about, the negative things. So how do we reverse that cycle? We reverse that cycle by asking them about what are the good things that happened? What are the things you think that went well? And then they start thinking, and then, you know what happens next? What do you think happens next when we ask that question? Anybody? If I ask you, you just given a talk, and I ask you, what do you think has happened well? What would you say? What would you do? Anybody? What do you think?
Just have to feel confident in what you did. Like, you're thinking you're being self-critical, like you said.
Yeah, but what do you think? I just said